3 sleeps until Christmas Day. Some shoppers are still scrambling for those last-minute gifts. Retail workers again, in some cases, in the firing line of customers' frustrations. An end-of-year campaign is reminding people to shop respectfully these holidays. Joining me now is Zahra from the Australian Retailers Association. Paul, thanks for your time. Look, I guess mostly those really horrid scenes of sort of Boxing Day and people knocked over and trampled upon a sort of a bit yesteryear. Well, what are the big concerns for retailers these days?
Well, the lead up into this week, of course, it's a bit of a post-pandemic issue when we're sort of dealing with vaccination checks and QR codes. Last Christmas, this Christmas, it's been very much, again, pandemic caused around supply chain disruptions and staff shortages, of course. There's 46,000 vacancies. So that means that, there's longer wait times when you shop, and particularly exacerbated by this week because, of course, shopping online is not really an option if you want to get that Christmas gift in time for Christmas Day. So we're asking everyone to shop respectfully. It's really important that shoppers are nice and not naughty.
Yeah, fair enough. I couldn't quite find the Cocomelon bus I was looking for the other day. We switched. We got her a remote control car instead. I think she'll like it more. What about the season for retailers and how it's gone? Can you judge yet what sort of season they've had?
Well, look, it's all anecdotal so far, but it sounds like so far we're going to be hitting that forecast, which was a record $66 billion spent, 6.4% up on last year. The only category that's probably not done as well as it could have was actually fashion. The stores were full of summer merchandise, and of course, in most states, we've had record cold weather. So that's terrible for retailers, but great for shoppers. So expect deep discounts come Boxing Day.
All right. Well, it is finally warming up, so it could be perfect timing in that sense, I suppose. What about broadly speaking? Clearly, more shopping and more of it's done online. How's the adjustment going? Are the retailers that are left now in an okay position? Do you feel like all the adjustments have happened around, they're obviously doing online as well, they're getting enough people in the stores. Have we seen the adjustment happen, or could things look radically different again in 10 or 20 years in the retail space?
Well, really, that's a great question, Tom. The structural change that we had previously seen was seen as such a disruptor particularly for traditional retailers. But of course, through COVID, it became a bit of an insurance program. So you couldn't have really been omni-channel, and that's having a digital presence, and survived COVID because you just weren't able to trade. So what we're seeing now is it did accelerate trends that were already occurring. And if you've survived COVID, you've actually survived. And in fact, most retailers have done pretty well given the amount of government stimulus and given that we couldn't travel anywhere. So it was all that money was being shopped and spent locally. And we're seeing that particularly this Christmas as what we're calling is freedom spending, because it's the first Christmas in 3 years where we have no restrictions, no health regulations, no mask wearing enforcement, and no vaccination checks at the door. So it means that people are sort of out and about. The biggest winner will be hospitality, because people want to be spending that time out with friends and family.
Well, that's been killing anyway, hasn't it? So again, so interesting that you say that we've stress tested the sector, it sounds like, at least for a few years. The things they can compete on too, I think it's become obvious to people when you're talking about clothes, when you're talking about expertise, how do you actually pick the right TV for you? How do you get the right fitting suit? And I guess that's come down as well to having a retailer you trust. You go in and you might get some advice, and if you get the wrong TV from that actual retailer, you'll never go there again. That's an important thing, isn't it, for retailers? Getting customers, trusting them to get the right purchase, not just sort of perhaps directing them towards the more expensive one, may I say?
Well, look, what the key is actually is that to make sure you shop from a reputable retailer. So if you have an issue, wrong size, quality of the product, or the product not working, you've got confidence to shop and actually return the product. Of course, for most men, if using that example, Tom, generally would go into a store and be fitted. It's usually the replacement or another colourway that they may be seeking that they'll shop for online. When it comes to televisions, the quality is generally are outstanding, and you can shop confidently with TVs. But again, it's important you shop from a reputable retailer that's Australian-based. So if you have an issue, you can at least walk into a store and have it fixed.
All right, busy time as ever. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. And Paul, maybe touch base next year. Thank you.
Pleasure.